Welcome to eGolf Real World Episode 6. Today I'm going to answer a letter from Michael Cumming. He wanted to know about the charging options and preheat on the eGolf. Volkswagen calls those departure time and climate control. So first thing you want to do is go Menu, Vehicle, and then eManager. This is all in the infotainment center. Wait a minute, we can't do this. We need to have the ignition on. Okay, let's try this one more time. So press the start engine while holding down the brake, and the engine starts. Our charge goes to 0, and we see ready on the indicator panel. So let's start off by defining two terms. Departure time. That's where the system calculates the time needed to charge the high voltage battery based on your departure time and current battery charge. So if the battery is really low, it's going to calculate a much longer time versus if the battery is almost fully charged. It can't do miracles. If you only give it 3 hours and your battery's mostly depleted, it'll never be able to fully charge it in 3 hours. But under normal situations, it'll allow you to set a 7 a.m. departure time and have your car fully charged by then, or to have it charged during those off-peak hours, which are cheaper in your area. Now, climate control, stationary air conditioning, is where the system will strive to achieve the target temperature by departure time using either the high voltage battery or the charging port. For those of you with AC only, your battery will charge first, then it'll try to set the temperature. Depending on how long it takes to charge the battery, it may or may not have enough time to actually try to achieve the correct temperature. Those of you with DC, it'll charge the battery and set the temperature until the high voltage battery is fully charged, at which point the DC disconnects, and the only way to continue achieving your temperature setting is to enable the high voltage battery to do that for you. Okay, with that out of the way, let's explore this. Go to the infotainment center, hit Menu, hit Vehicle, hit eManager, and now you see your setup page. Yours might look a little different, but these are the settings that are currently in my car. So we have 3 of them, and that's all you'll have to choose from. So let's explore these and see what they're all about. You have a battery status indicator. To the right of that, it says no departure time. That means none of the items, the events, have been triggered on. We look at the first trigger event. It is set for 7 a.m. It has a little clock, which means it's a reoccurring event, and it's going to reoccur every Sunday. The charging location is home. We see it has a plug, which means it's just a departure event only. We go down below that, the box is unchecked, as we know. It is a 12 p.m. event. It's a reoccurring event. It occurs only on Mondays, and the charging location is work. Below that, we have a 7 a.m. It's a non-reoccurring event. It only happens once on a Tuesday. And the charging location for this is garage. And again, you'll notice that there are no climate control events. These are all just departure times, and that's indicated by the little plug and no little thermostat. So looking at the eManager, we now go to Settings. That takes you into the basic settings mode. And here we have the maximum charging current, and you have several choices. If you choose something like 10 and your system can only deliver 5, the car will accept 5. If you choose 10 and your electrical system can give you a higher amount, it'll only take in 10. In my situation, I can select the max and I'm okay. Yours may be different. Then there's the interior temperature. In this case, we have a slider. We can set it anywhere we like. Don't confuse this interior temperature, which is right now set at 74, with the climatronic setting. If we switch that on, we see it says 72. The two are independent of each other. Now we go to the climate control using battery power. When enabled, The high voltage battery pack supplies the energy to run the climate control system. With it disabled, you need to have an external power source plugged into it. Now, it'll use this to run the climate control system. Simply touch the setting, and now it's enabled or disabled. In the enabled mode, again, it'll use the high voltage battery pack to run the climate control system. Below that is the minimum battery charge level. Pick a number, and if you plug in your car and the battery pack is below that number, it'll charge up to that number and then stop charging and wait for the departure time event to occur. If the battery pack is at a higher level than what you've set it for, then no charging will occur. It'll just wait for the departure time settings to take control. And again, this only works when you enable one of the events in departure time. If we step back to the first page, we see our 3 settings. If we pick one of those, we see we can change the hour, the minutes, AM, PM, and the days of the week. We also have access to the charge location. We can pick from a multitude of charge locations and their particular settings. So let's go to Bob's house. We've selected that. Now we can go into it by using the right arrow, and we can add climate control. We can set the maximum battery charge level. And if Bob happens to live up on a mountaintop, maybe I wouldn't set it at 100%. Maybe I'd set it to something less. So as I'm driving down that mountain, I can charge the battery. As a flatliner, I'll just leave it at 100%. You can also set your maximum charge current. And again, this is customizable for each battery charging location. We go back to the top and we see we have Saturday, Sunday for the first event. We turn on that event. It says next departure time, Saturday, 6 a.m. We see it's a departure time and a climate control event because we see the plug and the thermostat. Now, if we go down to our third event and turn that on and use the right arrow, we see it's a one-time event. 7 a.m. Tuesday, charging location is the garage. Again, we can pick from any of these locations. So if we go back to our main setting, we have our 3 events. You see that 2 of them are already triggered, and we can turn those off very quickly. Let's go to departure time 2. Now, I tried turning off the days of the week and it won't let me. It at least has to have one day of the week turned on. And again, you can change AM to PM on the clock. You can change the minutes. They're in intervals of 5, and of course the hours. Now, if we hit the charging location, we can add a new event. Let's add your house. So we type it in, and then we hit OK. So now, where's your house? It can scroll. There's your house. So we select that with the arrow. I turn on climate control. I'm a nice guy, so I want to charge only during your off-peak hours. And let's set those hours. Let's say yours is from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Now we go back, and those are already entered. There's no saving with this. Everything that you do is real time. If we go back, we see that our charging location is not here. Why is that? Well, because we created a charging location, but we did not assign it to anything. So now let's go to departure 1 and assign your house. If we come back, we see that in departure 1, your house is the charging location. Now, let's go back into charging location, and let's say I want to delete your house. Well, I can't because the charging location is already being used by a departure timer, even though it's not activated. But I can delete Bob's house because Bob's house, while it is a charging location, is not being used in any of the departure event times. Going back out, we see no events are selected. We can select 1. It tells us it's the departure time. and it tells us that it is a departure event because of the plug. Now we can select multiple, we can select all 3 events. Just be aware that if you go to work and you want to charge your car there, or you go someplace and you want to charge your car immediately, you plug it in, you won't get the steady glowing green pulsing light. Instead, you'll get a flashing green light, which indicates that you are now in a departure time activated mode. You see it there? It's on the little label that's inside the charging port. Now, unfortunately, that light is really hard to see during daylight. So in my situation, I rather not have that happen to me. So now you can override this by simply going to the button right below the flashing light, the one with the plug, and if you hit that button, it'll go into immediate charging mode. Now you see that I'm getting the steady pulsing light, and so we know that the car is charging. And if I'm at home, I can just put it into the departure time mode by simply pushing the switch on the bottom. Now we see the lights flashing, indicating that it is in a departure mode. Just something to be aware of. I, myself personally, just turn off all the event triggers so that as soon as I plug in, my car immediately starts to charge. That's the e-manager and how it works. It's not that hard once you know. I also want to tell you that there's an app, of course, CarNet, that allows you some control of the system. And if you go into the CarNet app and you go to the bottom of the screen, it says climate. There's a little cloud there. And if you click on that, it allows you to set the desired inside temperature. And then it allows you to turn on the climate mode and the defrost mode. So you can defrost your windows if your car is outside. If your car is in the garage, you can just warm it up, or you can do both. Now you'll notice that it says the car is unplugged. And because of that, it gives me a warning when I try to activate this. I need to have the car plugged in, or I need to enable unplugged climate control. Remember that earlier from the video? In the e-manager settings, there's a checkbox, climate control using battery power. So as long as that's checked, then we can use the app to actually heat the car, defrost the windows while it's unplugged. So now you see climate control is on and the car is unplugged. Of course, I make sure to turn it off because I don't need to do that. But it is available to you. And there are a couple other things there. You can check battery status and remotely unlock and lock the doors. And it gives you a status as to whether your doors are open or closed, your windows are up and down. So it's a nice little app to have. It's not essential, but it's there if you so desire. So I hope this video has helped you understand how the e-manager works in the e-Golf. And if you enjoyed this video, leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up. Please, please, please subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and we hope to continue on making more videos for you.